I was on my way home from work. It was a very hot day. I had never had low blood sugar before, so this was something new for me and my family. I got off the bus and was walking up the steps to my house. I thought I never made it in the house. To this day I thought I was outside because it was bright, warm, and the sun was shining, and I could hear a female voice leaning over me and calling my name and asking me if I was alright. When I would look up I would see a profile of a face, but the face was different colors, bright colors. Today I just asked my sister if I was outside, and she told me I had come inside, and my father noticed I wasn't myself and called the ambulance. All this time I thought I was outside because it was real to me. To continue, when I woke up I was in the intensive care emergency room. A nurse had just walked in and asked me how was I doing and if I wanted some orange juice. I told her fine and yes I would. I remember laying there and closing my eyes. The next thing I remember is sort of floating over this beautiful landscape of green grass, and the most beautiful flowers I have ever seen in my life. I felt around me was the most loving feeling and the sun was shining too bright, but it was not hot, it was warm, just right, and I could see in the distance, a tree, a large tree, and I remember I had to go toward it. As I was floating towards the tree I could hear a voice say you can't go now. I stopped and looked around, but I don't remember seeing anyone, but I felt someone. I remember saying, but not speaking, I don't want to leave. I could hear the voice in my head saying not now, your children need you, look up. I looked up and I could see my two children and my husband reaching over a mountain trying to grab my hand. I seemed like I was at the bottom of this steep cliff. The voice told me to go, but don't let the hands touch me. At that moment I began to raise up the side of the cliff. I then noticed hands started to reach out of the cliff. Just as I was almost at the top, I could see my family reaching for me, and all of a sudden I felt as though I was pushed up and over, and I woke up. At the moment I woke up, the nurse was walking back into my room with my juice. At first, I didn't realize what had happened, and I couldn't believe what had just happened. But I know it had happened, I believed what happened. I felt it. After this, I wasn't afraid of death. I didn't tell anyone what had happened to me, I was afraid no one would believe me. It wasn't until I heard a little girl on a talk show talking about her near-death experience and what she saw. I told myself if this child could see similar details to what I saw, then I was not alone. I then told my father what had happened to me that day. He then told me my mother, who had passed when I was 12 years old, had seen the green grass and flowers, and he said she had told him about the same feelings, the warmth, the brightness, the love. He said she had told him this before she died. This is not the only time I have had a near-death experience. I had another one in the year 1998. I had another hypoglycemic experience. This time I was with my fiancé at his house. He told me we were sleeping. He turned over and put his arm over me, and I was cold. He woke up and said I was not breathing right. He said he got me up and started walking with me and calling my name. He said all of a sudden I stopped breathing, and he kept yelling for me to breathe, but I wouldn't. He said after a while I just all of a sudden took a deep breath and started to breathe. After that, he called the ambulance. Doing all of this, I remember laying on the bed, and all of a sudden I was in this very bright place full of warmth and love. I was not alone. I could feel someone on both sides of me, and we were approaching this person with two other persons on each side of a person. As I got closer I could see white. Each person on the side was of very importance to the person in the middle, and there was love. The person in the middle had on a bright white robe, and I remember seeing gold ropes hanging from the waist of this person, but I could never see a face. As I approached and stood in front of this person, I felt incredible love. I did not want to leave, but I could hear this person say breathe. Just as this was said to me, I took a deep breath and woke up. After this experience, I have been less stressed about the future. I just live one day at a time. I've become more spiritual and more open, as with my daughters too. After this, anytime I've gotten sick, I know that I am not alone. That is some kind of way, someone will know that I am sick. Sometimes my daughter will hear someone or be awakened by someone, or my fiancé will get the urge to call me at the moment I am sick and will be able to call my daughter or the ambulance to help me. Sometimes my oldest daughter, who doesn't live here, calls and says she had a feeling I was sick or she dreamed about me getting sick. So I know I'm never alone. I know I have angels and my mother watching over me.